Good morning, meteorologist Robert Spetta here with today's Western Pacific weather update on Tropical Storm Bebeng or Tropical Storm Ares from JMA out here as well. It is currently right around 0700 Japan Standard Time. It's about 0600 Philippine time and right around 22 Zulu for those of you worldwide here. Current tropical storm is approximately 200 nautical miles east-southeast of Manila here, just east of Visayas, and producing an abundant amount of precipitation out here for southeastern Luzon and much of Visayas right now. Actually, signal warning number 2, that's winds of upwards of 60 to 100 kilometers per hour here in effect for much of southeastern Luzon and northern Samar up in this region here. We'll get to more of that in a minute, but looking at the microwave imagery indicating all this heavy precipitation, showing some of these higher cloud tops here in red, basically red and yellow, and also indicating the heavier precipitation. This is from the MTSAT, just indicating the overall amount of rain in the atmosphere and falling towards the ground here. But just noting the heaviest parts here are over Samar, much of eastern Visayas here, and also over southeastern Luzon, continuing to see this high amount of precipitation. But as this storm slowly moves off towards the northwest, right around 7 knots right now, we're going to continue to see this track off towards the northwest over Jomanilig Island here, and also over much of Aurora and Isabela is where I'm expecting this finally to make landfall. And also even seeing some outer rain bands, especially in the afternoon and evening hours yesterday during that afternoon heating, coupled with the upward vorticity associated with the system over much of the Manila metropolitan area as well. And we're going to continue to see an increase in that throughout the day today as well here on the 8th here as this continues to track off towards the northwest. Do want to also mention Mindanao did see some precipitation as well. Got some reports out of there as well, but the fact it was very light, and it was also prior to the full development of this system, actually developing all the way up towards max winds currently at 45 gusting up to 55 knots, and we're even expecting a further increase here as it continues to track off towards the northwest to a max of 60, so just shy of typhoon strength. Still don't expect it to reach typhoon strength here, but a severe tropical storm is very likely as it continues to sit in this low vertical wind shear out here about 5 to 10 knots, and also high sea surface temperatures above 80 degrees out in here. But some of the effects that could hinder even that development all the way up towards typhoon strength is the fact that there could be some upwelling due to the slow motion of this storm, bringing some of the cooler sea surface temperatures from below the surface upwards, and that also could reduce some of that latent heat on the surface. And second, the terrain, the rugged terrain over much of Luzon here as well as that continues to track off towards the northwest. Also, I do want to mention, just showing this one more time, I've seen about 50 to 40 knots of wind shear up here in the Luzon Strait, so expecting some rapid disintensification as it enters the Luzon Strait in the coming days, and then eventually kind of recurves off towards the northeast, basically as just a big cloud mass of its former self. Now, expecting that on the 10th into the 11th as it continues to track along the western portion of the subtropical ridge out in here, and that's all coming off of the Westpac High over here. And also you have another area of high pressure here in the South China Sea, and that's where the system is moving off towards the west, or excuse me, north-northwest, basically in the troughing area between these two regions. It's then going to get caught up in the westerlies here and basically take off towards the northeast as systems typically do around this region. But I do want to note that's really where it's following, is just this overall background flow between these two areas of high pressures and this area of low pressure. So really no need to look at a model right now to kind of get the gist of where this is going. It is useful to look at them, but I really like using these streamlined analysis, specifically the 700 to 850 millibar overall background flow. But just to confirm my thoughts here, here is a GFS for 12Z on the 11th. Basically just a very broad, disorganized area right in here, broad area of low pressure. So the models do kind of confirm up my thoughts on the streamline analysis as well. So getting into the warnings here, still expecting landfall from JTWC here by the early morning on the 9th at 18Z here, actually seeing some landfalls near Isabela here along the eastern coast and along the Madre Mountains here. 18Z would be right around 0200 in the morning, so like I said, very early, actually overnight, I would kind of consider it. Winds max at landfall 60 gusting up to 75 knots. Pagasa did put out signal force 2 here, as I noted earlier, that's 60 gusting up to 100 knots. Actually, signal force 1 currently in effect for Isabela, but I would likely expect that to be pushed up to signal force 2 for Isabela and Aurora up in here where they're expecting that landfall. And Jumeirah Island is actually going to get a lot of precipitation here as well, but basically going to see overall a mass amount of precip, and I still consider that the worst effect that's going to come out of this system is the flooding potential and landslides especially. Seeing an abundant amount of precip here along the southeastern portion of Luzon where you could see some of that landslides. Actually looking at one of the imageries here as well that depicts soil moisture content and also the overall flood potential out here. Very heavy along southeastern Luzon and eastern Visayas, specifically Samar here in the purple. So just depicting a lot of those low-lying areas. Should definitely be cautious for any landslides, mudslides, and also that potential for some localized flash flooding as well. And we're going to continue to see the possibility of this as the system continues to track off towards the northwest over eastern Luzon. But lastly, showing you the last of the three warnings here from JMA, that's the Japan Meteorological Association out here, and they're showing basically a similar track with landfall actually right around the same time as JTWC here at 0818 Zulu, a little bit slightly earlier. They're expecting it around 0100, but then of course this can change in the coming days back and forth as we continue to see this system move off into the west-northwest here. But I think the biggest topic for right now is as the system continues to move over eastern Samar, that's right around in this region here, kind of under the satellite picture here, just showing this infrared shot. Signal force 2 in effect there, and also that flooding potential as well. We still continue to see some of these outer rain bands moving onshore over Luzon today, and these could produce some heavy thunderstorms. Actually had some reports coming out of Manila yesterday of some heavy thunderstorms. So especially around in this area along eastern Luzon and basically eastern Visayas as well, there is that potential for some tornadic activity in those heavier thunderstorms. I know my box is very squibbly here. I'm really bad with this pen, but just kind of want to demonstrate the fact that the potential for some heavier thunderstorms as those outer rain bands move could catch people off guard. So I just want to mention that as well. But I do continue to expect this to track off towards the northwest and making landfall around Isabela, which is up in this area here, and Aurora as well in the coming day, actually 24 hours from now. So by the morning of the 9th, or very early morning, or actually overnight. So just kind of a dangerous situation there as well whenever you have a landfalling tropical storm coming in overnight. Good news, not expecting the intensity to make typhoon strength. So, and also the other good news is the fact that much of this area up in here well accustomed to any tropical storms, cyclones. A little bit early in the season this year, but not unheard of. Now that is all for right now, everybody. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, as usual, you can post them here on the YouTube channel if you're watching them here, or at westernpacificweather.com in the shout box. So always looking for some reports out of the region as well. That's actually one of the most useful informations I can get is when people actually just kind of pass the weather they're experiencing, or any reports of any damage, or any reports of just high winds, thunderstorms, and non-such. So that's actually very, very useful. Also posting this at storm2k.org as well. I have a link below here if you're watching this on YouTube, and plenty of good meteorological discussion going on there as well on the storm. So go there and check it out if you want to get some further information on it. But thanks again for listening, everybody. Also, click here if you want to just check out my channel, continuing to have updates on storm and weather across the Western Pacific and Australia as well. And also another channel here called Quick SOS down in this region right in here if you want to click there as well for the earthquake reports out here. So thanks again for listening, everybody, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.